Welcome to the YouTube Mile Builders Thursday night general hangout. Thursday's hangouts are for the general discussion on mile railroading that we all can set a topic to discuss for the night. Thursday's hangouts are the proud sponsor of the Tuesday night presentations, the YouTube Mile Builders, eMag, and the YouTube Mile Builders live show. I want to say thanks for everybody joining in tonight's show. And here's your host for the night, Johnny Reb of Southeast Rails. Hello everybody. I see Bob's there and Ron just popped in over here on the chat. How y'all doing tonight? Who we got on the panel? We got Chris, we got Andy, Dan, Lloyd, AJ still working on the buildings there. Alright, they're coming right along there, AJ. Hey, Ari, Joey, Dave. Yeah, they popping in now. Hey, what's the latest there, AJ?
Okay, the buildings have gotten their first coat of white paint. Hang on for a flyover. Some of it is a little bit thinner than others because my airbrush was giving me headaches. Yeah. Everything is pretty much coated white for a base layer.
All right.
Now we'll start figuring out what to paint them as actual colors.
Now the big question, have you had much of a problem with warpage?
Not a bit. By using very light coats of paint, and I'm talking each of these white coats is probably 10, 12 passes, so 12 layers of paint.
Oh, shoot.
I really thinned it out into a white wash and gave it some drying time in between, and nothing warped. Except my personality, but that's beside the point.
Alright, what happened here?
Yeah, we do have a video issue. Got the screen grab.
No, I've just checked and my setting looked good.
So your intro video played.
Oh. How about if I do this? Let's see if the screen comes back. Yeah.
Waiting for it to refresh now.
It's one of those nights, I tell you. Alright, now I got an echo from somebody.
You're good now.
Yeah, it's got to be AJ because everybody's Andy. I think it's you.
I don't have YouTube open.
No, yeah, it's Andy. Forgot to turn the sound off on YouTube. Yeah, that was totally my fault. I forgot to hit the transition button after playing the video. It's going to be one of them nights where I can't do too many buttons. Yeah, John, your video should come up. Well, it was, I forgot to hit transition after the intro video to bring up the panel screen, so you should have a good screen by now. I know Joey said that I'm good, so.
And if you're not caught up, press the live button in your video feed. That'll bring you back current at live.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're not live, you're not going to hear us say this right now, so. There is that.
He'll get there.
could have almost been one of those radio podcasts that the Roundhouse does.
I love podcasts. And my wife hates that I love podcasts.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea.
I find them boring.
Then you're listening to the wrong podcast. There's a
If I
lot.
can't see, it's not worth it.
Well,
It's like watching it. It's like listening to a hockey game on radio.
Yeah. Hang on one second. Hillbilly, Scott, if you would, I need you to send me an email, please. I'm not sure if I got your email. I got a message from Australia for you to be passed on. southeastrails@gmail.com. Southeastrails, one word, gmail.com. All right, everybody says this seems to be working now. So we'll get back to AJ and his buildings and no warpage. You
Right.
evidently put some bracing in the buildings before you did your painting.
Let's see. Lots and lots and lots of bracing.
Yeah.
That's the key.
And lots of very thin coats of paint.
Gotta let them dry in between.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, I did it as a, oh gosh, what do you call it when you do things in a line? I can't think of the word
Oh,
right now.
production line.
Production line, that's the word. So I just started at one end of the stack of models, did that, did the next, and when I got to the end, went back and started all over again. And as I said, it's about 10, 12 coats of paint, sometimes less, sometimes more.
That's the best way to do a lot of these kind of tasks. And like roofing is kind of, you know, if you're doing shingled roofing, I kind of get the zone of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, Jerry up here is asking, Andy, do I have to wait for an invitation to each session? Just the post there, Jerry. It's on the YouTube page down in the comments. If you want to get in on the panel, let's see, we got 2, 4, 6, 7.
We got a spot open.
Yeah, we got one spot open if you want to get on the panel here. If you're talking about the live chats that go on every day, all you gotta do is just look for a post when I can get people to post it up now that we're using Appear. But if you want to, just go to appear.in, then / all one word, YouTube Mall Builders. That's the chat room that we use on a daily basis. Josh, your camera working? Your mic's muted, Josh, if you're trying to talk. Yeah, if you're having problems, Josh, you're going to have to hang up and try again.
Oh, somebody talking to me? Sorry, I was busy.
Yes, I was. Still
What
am.
do you think?
Your camera working okay?
Yeah, I was just busy. I turned off yeah.
Okay. Alright, Scott, I'll send you an email back with a message, and it's from Andrew. Let's see what happens when I do this.
Still having some issues?
Who, me?
No, are we?
No. What am I doing? So Lloyd, I don't know if people know what you've been doing lately on your layout and what has happened. I saw some trains moving there just a few minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, I finally got to the point of having trains run all around the layout non-stop. Did a little video which I posted on my YouTube page, and now I've been working on my boxcar distribution center. As you can see, I've got cork. It's a sheet of cork over a masonite board, basically, which I'll remove so I can do all the stuff that needs to be put on it, such as the ballast. So it'll be easier when I take it out.
Okay.
And the thing is that where you see the joints there for the tracks,
Yeah.
well, I can remove it, and what I'll do is I'll be able to pick up the whole thing and bring it to a show or something.
Okay.
So that's what I've
Independent
been working
module.
on.
A independent module.
Well, not really a module as much as just a show and tell kind of thing.
Diorama.
Diorama, yeah.
Yeah.
I build a lot of things as dioramas, either really small ones. A lot of my structures or key structures are built that way, even though I don't really intend to take them to show. It's a lot easier to sit down at the workbench and work on it.
Let's see if I can still. Yeah, it's still on. So. Sorry, there it is. It's moving.
Yeah, yeah.
It's alive!
Now, how much more wiring have you got to do on the track itself? The layout?
Oh, you mean on the layout?
Yeah.
I still have about 320 tracks to wire.
Oh, that all?
Yeah. And 69 tortoises to install.
Okay.
Which I'm gonna do later.
That it? Just 69?
Yeah. Yeah, just
That's an easy evening.
yeah.
Okay, it's an easy 20 evenings.
20 evenings. Put it this way, having to go under the track, I'll do one a day. One a day, and the other 5 days or 6 days I'll work on a building. And one tortoise, another building. One tortoise, another building. That way I won't get sick of it.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking me, with all, like, you know, like I should do all my wiring in one shot. No, that's a good way of getting really fed up. So
Yeah.
I did, today I did about 15 tracks wired. Did install one tortoise, some tracks, a bit of everything. Keeps me going every day.
Yeah, if I had to spend months wiring, for that matter, if I had to spend months laying track, and I love laying track. And last year I burnt myself out on making trees to the point I didn't think I'd ever build another one. But enough time to doing other things, and I got back. You know, I'm back making trees. I like spreading it out. Little this, little that.
Yeah, Robert was asking if anybody's getting reverb. Don't know.
Not here.
Well, it'll be the people out there watching the live stream.
Right. I'll go check.
So what are you planning on building, Jerry, out there in chat? He said that he'll get a spot on the panel when he started building.
I'd say come on now, tell us about it.
Yeah, we've got 2 people here that don't have any layouts.
Yeah, I'm fixing to kick Josh because he's going in and out. Looks like his connection.
I'll leave if you want.
No.
Okay, I'll rebuild.
No, we got room.
Well, I mean, just because I don't have a layout.
Technically, I do have 12 modules in storage. So I still have a layout.
There's no requirements for membership.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry says he's doing a switching layout of 8x5.
Interesting size for a switching layout. You typically make them. They're typically more linear, but I have seen a few really interesting designs that were not O's on a big sheet of plywood, essentially, but that were a switching layout where they navigated their way up and through. Especially, I've seen some narrow gauge layouts that were quite interesting, that were tabletop and quite interesting. Generally not a big fan of tabletop style layouts or single sheet of plywood layouts, but I've seen a few that break the mold. There's no, total answer.
Yeah, like we discussed yesterday just in a regular chat, model roading of itself is an invention. You're still inventing.
Yeah, Jerry's largest industry is a 30 by 15 by 3 Safeway grocery distribution center. Kind of a big one.
What industry?
Oh yeah.
What industry? What era, Jerry? Because grocery distribution and produce and all that stuff was a huge industry for the railroad for a long time, and virtually non-existent to this day. Today, virtually.
$1955.
Yep. It was a quite big industry. Quite a big industry still then in the 1920s and such. That's how all groceries made it across the country. All produce. But I mean, there was a lot more local. But by the 50s, they were shipping stuff all over the country, and people were getting tomatoes in the winter. People started getting spoiled by that, like we are today.
Yeah, he says modeled after the one that he retired from.
Absolutely.
Since I've done cleaning up, I'll show you guys what I've been sort of working on and on and on. Just getting ready for the modules.
Well, while you're doing that, what version are you up to now, Chris, on your design?
I think it's 8.
Well, it's 8.3.
See, Andy knows better than I do. Yeah, just try to take him. You know, take it. I'm not trying to rush it because that's how you miss stuff. So.
Yeah.
It still takes a long time. You'll still change your mind. I worked on the rough ideas for this plan years and years before.
Yeah. So right now we're doing the 2 standard gauge decks, and then we'll move to the 2 narrow gauge decks. So my design went from being the narrow gauge deck only being 1 deck, I upped it to 2. So that the narrow gauge trains can have running time. So the lower deck will be my buildings like I was talking about with the breaker and the mill and stuff like that for the scenic route. And then the top deck, all that's going to be is just mountains and trees, so that it goes up into the mountains and does a scenic tour and then comes back down to the lower deck again.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about that. Are you going to do that all above the 2 existing decks? So you'll have 2 decks above that, or?
Well, yeah. So you'll have my main 3-rail deck, upper deck, and then there'll be the two narrow gauge decks above that.
Sure. Or they could be there. They could be fairly. They're going to be shallow, and
yeah.
You know, separation between decks and deck height has a lot more, in my opinion, to do with how deep they are. If you want 2-foot decks, you need a pretty good spacing between them.
Actually, the narrow gauge, I was actually thinking about just doing foam with shelving brackets.
Absolutely. I picked up some other shelving brackets today. I've got 4 different shelving brackets for my top deck. I haven't figured out which one I want. I keep buying different brackets. So
yeah. The 2 main decks will obviously be framed, but the upper narrow gauge deck may just be foam and plywood, or just foam. I don't know yet.
I could totally defend framing your layout. That it's as much as I would use foam over the plywood or whatever, but boy, I could totally. That OSCA stuff's heavy.
Yeah.
Everything about it's heavy.
Yep. So that's where we're at, and I actually just, when we work on it and I go to bed, and I just, all I think about is working on it, because I want to start it eventually, but I know that, you know, I'd like to take my time too. So.
Well, hello, Andrew. Good to see you, buddy.
Hi, Andrew.
All right, Hillbilly, we'll talk to you later. Have a good one. He's leaving out. He's going to be out of commission for a little while. He's going back for some surgeries. Jerry said on the Safeway grocery, only 6 freight doors and 4 perishable doors for trucks and 2 for rail cars.
Yeah, the interesting thing I think is probably true. I don't know this to be the case, but that I always assume to be true about the grocery distribution, because there's one a town away from the section I'm modeling. So eventually, if I model more of it, I will model the local grocery distributor. Is the frequency of traffic? It's not that it's huge, but it would be several times a day if trains were available to take cars there. They would get a few trains a day would drop cars.
Andy, Andrew said, well, it's still around to bug you, Andy.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to see. I'll take that.
Not yet, Andrew. I'll send him an email after the show. He sent me an email, so I got his email address, and I'll pass that on to him for you.
Just hope this works.
And I went to a local. We were talking about foam yesterday, so today I had to go by. It's where I bought those extra shelf brackets. I need to go by the local lumber, whatever we were talking about, the supply company here locally, and check on a couple other things anyway. So I asked them about the extruded foam. They've got the 1 inch there in stock. I could go get it any time, but they don't keep the 2 inch in stock. He said, but it's pretty high. I don't think you're going to want to buy it. So I said, I don't know. Driving driving to Owensboro, dealing with all that. I have a 4-door automobile, so borrowing somebody's vehicle to get it here and stuff is always a pain. So maybe if I could, maybe it'd be worth it. He said, well, I'll call you. So he called me an hour later. It's $40 a sheet. That is higher than the $30 I've been paying for it. But that's like 2 miles down the road. They'll get me the 2 inch peak foam. So to any of you guys that can't get foam, with this conversation on our show last night, to any of you guys that can't get foam, it's worth checking with your local hardware guy. See if they'll order it for you.
Lumberyard.
Lumberyard, yeah.
Yeah, because when it was here at Home Depot, it was right $39 and some change for a 4x8 sheet, 2 inch.
Oh, see, I pay over in Owensboro, which is I live in the suburbs, so it's only 30 minutes all the way to Menards, which is on the other side of town. And Menards is cheaper than anybody else around anywhere. The reason I do business with Menards is because they're cheap. It's like $32 or something, and it's $42 here locally, so it's $10 a sheet. He said, but they had to order it in a quantity. I said, well, he said, I got to order 6. I said, well, I don't know if I can store 6 sheets, but I'll commit to buying 4 as soon as you get them. So I got 4 sheets of 2 inch foam coming whether I want them or not, I guess. But
yeah. Jerry said, you're right, Andy. Before I retired, we only received a few freight cars or perishable loads a week.
Oh yeah, it had diminished considerably. But from and this is research on eBay, likes the history of the railroad. I've done research on the line I model, and there are delivery bill of ladings or whatever that I found on some of this stuff, and there are 3 times a day. Sometimes on one day I found one that had 3. Most of the time I see 2 times a day they were taking cars to it. So while they weren't taking a whole lot of cars to or from it anytime, even in the 50s, it wasn't that many cars, but it was twice a day. They were, they had the stuff coming from the west and the stuff coming from the south. They would get, different trains would make a delivery. So they were having to run several locals a day because of that industry.
Yeah, Jerry was saying I'm using 1/4 inch pink foam to compensate for height differences to the Unitrack. Okay, he's using Unitrack on his.
That works well. And you can buy that 1/4 inch foam with a foldable thing, like is meant for building baffles at the eaves and the soffit of a house, or building insulation baffles. They have I forget what they call that, but it's a baffle so that your roof will fit from the soffit up into the under the roofing system. And they have this baffle, and it's 1/4 inch pink foam, and they're $1 a piece or something. So infinitely usable foam. And we use foam core as modelers a lot, and a good piece of foam core, quality piece, is $5 from Hobby Lobby, or $13 for the 3 foot by 6 foot sheets that I like so well. That's a $13 sheet of foam core. But that pink stuff is the same thing without paper glue to it.
Yeah, he said that's what he got.
Oh yeah, that's a ticket. Handy as it can be, throw it in the back seat of an automobile, regular car, and you don't have to have a truck to haul it like the stuff I'm building with. That's my only disadvantage.
Okay, I think I'm ready over here.
You think you ready, huh?
I think I'm ready.
It's already ready already.
This I was ready last week. But this is the lumber mill I'm going to have on my module. I just don't know exactly where I want to put my wood chip loader at. This is the in-scale architecture lumber mill that they've got like on their website. You can probably find them cheaper somewhere else.
Not much.
But, yeah, not much. I found this one. Oh yeah, this is awesome. I spray painted it with red just cheap reddish, brownish spray paint you would get at Walmart. And what I want to do is come back to wood shingles and actually just layer every roof section here with this wood shingle, and hopefully it'll turn out really spectacular. And then I'm going to start working on the windows, and I'm going to spray paint all the windows green, and we're going to see how well this turns out. And hopefully we can really get this thing going.
Are you going to do wood shade, like cedar shades?
Yeah, well, yeah, something like that. We were talking about that one day about shingles and stuff like that. And I'm still trying the best ones out there.
I was curious. Ralph and Sandy showed off some last night on the chat, and they were just, the ones he had were just the best I've ever seen. From Rusty Stumps, I think, is where they were as good as any I've seen. They looked like they were individually, you know, you could install them individually. They might be in a strip, but they were the best cedar shake I've ever seen.
And when you mention his name, guess who pops up?
I didn't even say his name 3 times.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You just clicked your heels. That's all you had to do.
Yes. Was that Rusty Stumps? Those shakes?
Yes.
Man.
Rusty Stumps. That's where I got mine. There's quite a few different companies out there that make them.
Oh yeah.
But, the ones I got from Rusty Stumps are gum backed, so you don't even have to use glue because it's already on there. But just to be certain when you put it on, I put that thin layer of transfer tape, the clear stuff, just to give it a little extra bond.
Transfer tape's best trick for doing that period, and you can put marks, you know, put straight lines on it so you get your lines right. The clear transfer tape does to impact that. You can still see it.
I also have a catalog number calling Moss, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do the because I have the same company.
Dan, you're we lost you.
Was all messed.
Your audio's gone out, Dan. AJ, can you swing your camera around just a little bit so we can see more of what you've done? Oh, there you go. Putting the witch's hat on.
Another one that's going to need some shingles.
Absolutely. Both of those guys are talking about end scale, so I'm assuming Rusty Stumps has them in an end scale size. Probably.
I think he does. I'm not sure.
I figured he did. He has end scale stuff.
This actually comes with vinyl shingle thingy material.
Yeah.
That?
You can shake right over top of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with the right weathering, right paint weathering, that looks like a pretty good fine surface. But I sure like those loose shakes, the paper shakes.
There's what the shingles look like. Don't know why it's not clear.
Yeah, well, that's about as good. I've used a few of the, you know, Brexide trades and cables, of course, for years, and various people's shingles, but those are look about as good as any shake I ever seen.
Rusty stumps, huh?
Yep,
He's got pretty good stuff anyway.
he does.
Yeah, I was out there at the store last night. Did some painting on rocks at the back of the layout. Trying to get that train moved out of the way, and it didn't want to go. Had John clean the track and the wheels on the locomotive, but I think it's time to change the locomotives. That thing kept starting and stopping all the way around the track, never consistent in the same place.
It would be a problem for a lot of hobby stuff. They don't seem to, from what I've seen, they don't seem to run, they don't run the train consistently. They just run it occasionally. When I was a teenager and worked at a hobby shop, they ran the wheels off of stuff. I mean, they had to buy stuff that was disposable, and they'd run it for 3 months, throw it away, buy another one. They were literally disposable. We had a box of them that we could use for parts and stuff, so.
Yeah, they run sound on it, and of course, Brian's there all day long and right there in the same room with it, so yeah, he turns the sound off sometimes, and he's gotten where a lot of times he just turns the train off unless he gets some kids in there. If somebody asks to see it run, he turns it on.
And even without sound, just the track noise.
Yeah, but we're using Digitrax, but I don't know where this thing came from or it's used, so I'm kind of thinking it probably wouldn't hurt to do a factory reset on the command module. Just take it back to factory settings and then start over again. I do want to go in and change the CV so that when you turn the power on, it'll bring the track power up. So right now, you really have to play with that thing and get the track power to come on.
Oh, it's annoying. And it depends on how your layout's set up. My DCC system is actually on right now. It's powered to off of my layout. Everything, when I turn my whole room on, my lights down here, everything comes on at one time, my DCC system, but it doesn't turn my track power on. I go click the button to turn it on if and when I want to.
Anybody out there in chat want to talk about something? They seem to be a little quiet tonight. Jerry's been talking about what he's starting to do.
I'll give them something to look at if you want. There's a company called CG Textures on the internet, cgtextures.com, I believe. There. And I just went through the list here, and there was roofing material. And these things are, you can make them whatever size you want. All the different textures. Different types of roofing.
So this printouts?
Different. Yep. Prints out on paper.
Oh, okay.
And it's pretty good looking because it's an actual photograph.
Yeah.
And in Photoshop, you can just link these things together, and you end up with a full sheet of roofing or weathered concrete, or there's all kinds of different textures. Just to give you an idea.
Yeah, it add a little bit.
Concrete, doors, fabric, floors, ground, grunge.
Do they have roads there, Ralph? Oh, they do. I can see it.
Roads.
All the way down below plastic.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ, but okay.
I need roads.
So you get damage roads, and they come up in the first picture, and then when you click on the picture, you get a variation of what's in that file.
So that goes back to what Miles was talking about, Andy, yesterday.
Oh yeah.
You could take these, put them in Photoshop, lay them out, and put them on the Sentra.
Yeah, he had mentioned that a couple times about using photos, and then I've seen heard a few people talk about using photos for roads. I haven't seen it done yet, but that seems like a no-brainer to me. Roads are hard to get all those meticulous details right, and for a rural road, it's not so bad. But a city road with all the, particular details of that.
The best, well, not the best one, but I mean, a lot of different things is in the concrete.
Yeah, a lot of that would be good for bridge abutments and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, now roads are a lot easier to get away with that because photos work really good in the background where you need, or even just slightly in the background where you need no texture whatsoever. Just the right look is fine. My biggest with my bridge abutments are right up front and center, so my instinct is that there needs to be some texture to the offset board formed concrete. If they were flat, I don't know what the effect would be. I don't know.
Ralph, you were showing concrete. How would you put that? I mean, do you print as paper or photo?
You can do it any way you want. If you do it as photo, you're going to get a much, unless you're using a laser printer, not an inkjet, but a laser jet. You'll get a crisper picture on regular paper. If you want the crisp paper and you're using an inkjet, then I suggest you use a matte photo paper.
Okay, and how would you apply that to what? Wood? Styrene?
Yeah.
Spray glue?
No, how would you do it? How would you apply it?
Spray on glue, contact cement.
Oh, okay.
You rough up the surface of the plastic a little bit, and then you just spray on the glue and spray on the glue on the back of the paper, and you mesh the two together when they're dry. That's how contact cement works.
And I would say a laser would be really, if you have access to a laser printer at work that's color, or even going to Kinko's, print it out on your inkjet, a few times, make sure you got it right, and then take it to Kinko's and pay the couple bucks and get the laser print.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you could buy a laser printer, like a Brother laser printer these days. Laser used to be awful expensive, but you could buy a Brother home laser printer for,
300 and change. I just bought one at Christmas time.
Yeah, a few $100. But look, we're talking about using a printer as a quite common modeling tool, and it'll pay for itself and not having to buy ink for, you buy a toner, every few years.
Yeah, that's what I have, a laser printer.
Well, yeah, in your business, I'm sure you print enough stuff that an inkjet just doesn't make sense. Inkjet doesn't make much sense for anybody except on real cheap economy, because if you don't use a printer very often, then the ink dries up.
Well, Ron Boyt's down in Australia, his comment is, layout build has stopped for now till the wife buys the new shed for the layout. Guess that's what happens when you try to take over too much room with model stuff and machines, LOL.
Yeah. That's still a pain point for me as well.
Yeah.
She ain't over it yet. It's been 3 years.
Ralph Cherry wants you to...
Go ahead.
Jerry wants you to repeat the website name. In fact, I think you got... Go ahead.
C. Charlie George Textures.com.
CG.
CG?
Yeah. So AJ, what are your plans on finishing this thing?
Changing as we speak.
Isn't that always the way?
Yeah. Of course, I just bought a car today, so now I need to be careful with my money.
Okay.
I now have freedom. My first car.
Hey, he's got wings.
Yeah.
I've got
Mine Red
wheels.
Bull, you got a car.
I've got wheels.
He's been used to New York City living.
Yeah.
I was just waiting on Ralph go, I'm glad I'm in Canada now.
I wasn't going to go that far, although it did cross my mind.
I have friends in Canada. I may be crossing the border.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Let me know. I'll make sure I'll stay off the sidewalk.
Hey, Ralph, if you go on our
Yes, sir.
website under decals and you go to damage, they have little spots that you can make out of decals so you can show the rebar exposed on concrete.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw that or not.
I've been through that site so many different times. They're always adding something new, too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you just found it.
No, that site works on the basis of you're allowed so many free downloads per week or whatever it is. But if you upload pictures, it gives you more download time or quantity.
Well,
And it's
that's
not
fair.
like you have to upload stuff. If you download a couple of pictures this week, you download a couple of pictures next week. I went on like that for a month, almost every day downloading stuff, and nothing happened. I didn't get stopped. So, you know, you can do just about anything, but it works better if you upload something, because then it gives you credits.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, they're giving it to you for free. You know, broadens their database on what they're getting to put out.
Yep. As a matter of fact, when I did that lighthouse, that's what I used to put the shingles on. I had paper on it first.
It laid the shingles right over top of the, like the transfer tape right over top of it, so you could see through it. And then
No, actually, I took that off because that wasn't stuck on very well. There. That is directly from that site. So I pieced it together and made a nice full 8.5 by 11 sheet. I made actually 2 of them, and you cut and fit. And it even in that state, it doesn't look too bad. It's just I wanted the third dimension. Now what Miles has done, and Trolls Kirk does as well, he uses photographs like this, and he'll go in and accent the shadows and so on. Add a little bit more of a 3D sort of dimension to it. If you look at Trolls Kirk's layout, all his bricks and everything else are all done on paper like that. They're not embossed. They're not real brick. They're not. It's just straight photograph paper.
a lot of these guys doing paper modeling will print 3 or 4 versions of a particular wall or structure or whatever. They'll cut the layers out to stack them on top of each other, print them on a cardstock, and cut out the windows and door assemblies if you were going to use that. Or like Miles does, and a lot of people, and I think many people do paper do, they'll print them out, cut the windows out, and use grant line castings.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if you're good with Photoshop, what you could do is have the picture come out as in 3D. So that helps. It looks better than just a flat picture.
I just did a screen capture and then just shrunk it down to kind of fit the roof, and I'd say it looks a lot better than the plastic shingles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see I'm spending a lot more money on these models.
But that said, with the right paint, you can make the plastic shingles look just as good. With the right paint and techniques.
Yeah. And I would say with the paper, at least on any large surface, you need to weather them anyway. Additionally, like Ralph was talking about, to get these certain shadowing effects, but also because there's a pattern that will occur on a large surface, and some natural weathering will kill that.
Right.
Yeah, Ron Strange the things just popped in. How you doing, Ron?
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, Jerry said cheaper than buying brick sheets through Walthers.
But I'm not a big fan of the plastic brick sheets generally anyway. If you're going to buy brick sheets, like Monster Model Works, that wood brick sheet material they sell is pretty spectacular. That's more like brick walls, but I wish Nick Basti sold his. Imagine that laser art. I wish they were sold as individual walls. I bet you could probably get those from him. His brickwork is exceptional.
Yeah, we missed you, Ron, even though you're on vacation in Colorado.
Good place to vacation.
I wonder if he stopped in with Bill, the track planner. Bill starts getting people stopping by. You'll have to kind of do like Big Bill, find some kind of railroad sign, put on the wall, let people sign it.
Yeah, dear.
Yeah, Ron was saying printed paper works great in scale because there's not much good brick styrene in scale.
So, which Jimmy Simmons makes that Monster Model Works stuff in brick sheet in scale. It's a wood product, but it has a lot better. It has a lot better shape to the brick. Styrene brick, to me, or at least the ones I've got a hold of, tend to have kind of a, because of the molding process or something, the bricks have a slightly rounded shape, slightly cobbled shape to me. At in scale, that may not matter, but
Ari says keep bashing DPM models for brick.
There's Trolls Kirk. That's his boiler house.
it's about as good as it gets.
And that's just paper.
Even the tanks?
Even on the tanks.
Damn.
Now he models in ON30. So he has a little bit more room to work, so to speak.
You also got to remember this guy is a professional artist, but he's about as good as it gets. And his backdrops and cloud structure and his oceanside port, it's just about as good as it gets. His lighthouse, that lighthouse section, just has a.
Yeah, let me find it.
Particle on the seaport, you know, the whatever particles washed up on the port. It's just, he's good. He's got to be at eBay's top couple list of the best.
Mm.
Believe it or not, I don't have the lighthouse yet.
But that's a little more recent too.
Thought I did.
It's a little newer. It's still a few years, but I could go find it. I've got a picture of it too.
Hang on to the spare parts there,
Oh, here we go.
AJ.
Oh, I intend to. I'm my last major structure that I have here is the Drayton house, and according to the floor plan, it doesn't have a bathroom. I guess it came with an outhouse, so I'm going to use all the scrap pieces to extend the house.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to boldly go out there and try to scratch build in wood.
Nice.
Heaven help me.
You'll be all right. You'll make a
There's his
mistake or
lighthouse.
two, but
Be right back.
That's his lighthouse, and that's all scratch built.
Yeah, I haven't found it yet. You beat me to it. And the seaport washed up on that. I mean, that literally looks like a painting, and it is. It's a 3D.
That's awesome.
It's about as good as it gets. I can't imagine you can make much improvement on it. He has kind of a John Allen kind of flair too, you know, kind of theatrical.
Yep. One of the things that he does is this. He does a sketch, then he does the real scene.
Wow. What an idea.
So he sees it before he builds it, which is nice because a lot of us don't have that ability.
Yeah.
Some of us think we do, but it's kind of like imagining utopia and then building Slumtown.
The place is great. I have a vision for what I expect it to look like, but I always kind of change my mind as I adjust. Not big adjustments, just little adjustments.
That's how he started the lighthouse, the actual light part of the lighthouse.
Oh yeah.
And then put spackle on it. The top walkway.
Oh yeah, the whatever diamond metal, corrugated metal.
yeah, I recognize that. That's the cover to a Zacto knife.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
Score in some bricks.
gosh. It looks that good, and it looks like plaster just piled on there, and then it looks that good already.
Yeah, Jerry said that my ex-wife accused me of being theatrical.
Probably that goes the other way around, but yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And he carved the base out of styrofoam. Your favorite material, Andy.
Good man, yes, sir.
But he does stuff with styrofoam that you don't.
No, see the bricks carved in it and such. Yep. I've tried a little bit of that, and I get reasonable effects with the carved. I don't have good effects with carving rock into styrofoam. Plenty of people do. I don't. Why?
Oh yeah, this is another technique he uses. He'll take a full sheet of paper and paint it with different colors, just brush strokes, right? No rhyme or reason to it, just going across a page. And then he'll cut it in whatever thickness that is. That might be a 1/4 inch strip. And then you move the paper slightly askew, maybe an inch. And you have this randomness to it. And that's what he uses to do his shingles.
And it's kind of perpendicular to your paint strokes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's where is AJ still there?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's something you could probably play around with.
Very possible.
Yeah, Ron's Strange and Things, he's been watching this. He said, that almost makes me want to burn my layout down and start over.
I'm with Ron.
That's why I said I precurse that. Remember, this gentleman is a professional artist. His work is going to be spectacular. I get the discouragement with it. But
I went to visit his layout, and when I walked in, I had that same feeling.
Oh, you seen it?
I saw it in person. The pictures do not do it justice. I mean, they're spectacular, but in person, it's just mind-blowing.
How could they? How could they possibly? How big is that layout? It's not very big.
It would be
like a shed.
It would be the shape of or the size of a double car garage. It's a separate outbuilding.
Yeah, I heard that. That's a pretty good size layout. That's not bad. He's what country?
He's Danish, and he lives in Sweden.
It'd be worth a trip.
Newsam, Sweden.
Yeah. That would
take a look at this scene. You'll just see where the artistry comes in here. I mean, even when he takes his photographs, they're like paintings too. And he doesn't use a static grass generator.
Really?
He doesn't believe in it.
Why? How do you not believe in it? I've seen one. They have to be true. They have to be real. I know. I got you.
Hey, the Tooth Fairy's real too. So.
I haven't seen.
So is the Easter Bunny.
I haven't seen him either. I wonder what's he using for that material.
I mean, Batman's real too. But then you've never seen Batman and me in the same room, so you know.
You got me on a technicality there. See, my only complaint's the track's awful. That's one thing I see with a lot of. You see these awesome layouts, and the track work is awful. It's not important to his, and I'd imagine if I stayed in there, I probably wouldn't even pay that much attention to it, even as much as I care about track work. But
yeah, AJ.
Yes.
Got a question for you from the panel. They want to know, where did you get the magnetic tray?
I think I got it from Amazon. Give me a second to double check.
Yeah, 'cause I think they got that in Micro Mart too.
Yeah, no, they sell one.
I've got a magnetic tray, but, well, it's not a tray, it's just a big sheet of metal with those same magnets. But that was for building airplanes, the fuselage wings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's about 6 feet long.
Oh gosh, I was getting ready to say it's that much different, but that seems different.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know
got
about
it.
AJ's, but my magnets, boy, once you put them on that metal, that was it. They were not moving.
Yep, I got it from Amazon. Scientific Models Incorporated is the maker. It was $25.95.
You can get it from Micromark as well.
Mm-hmm.
How many
This is,
magnets did you get with it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I'm sure you probably buy extra magnets too.
That sounds cheaper than what Micromark would sell it for. Rod said he did a video on his channel showing a review of one. It showed where he ordered his online there. So.
I think Micromarks was about the same price, but because I have Amazon Prime, I had free shipping, and so I went with Amazon rather than Micromark.
Yeah, I love Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. How big is that tray? Just approximately.
10¼ inches square.
Okay.
Approximately.
No, that's according to the listing on the website.
I know, brother.
And all the sides are square too to the bottom, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can just put stuff up against that.
And the corners, where the corners come up, the vertical corners come up, there's a gap.
On 2 of the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 sides. Where's my camera?
So you could
Yeah,
stretch
you're
it
good.
outside of the frame to build.
If you had to, or you can get at the corners with your liquid glue.
It also comes in handy if you're doing a. Let's see. Here we go. Let's do show and tell. You can actually just stick the corner through there to help square things up if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Then the other piece goes on the outside, made up.
Mm-hmm. It's my newest modeling toy. Of course, I bought it after doing all the other buildings.
Of course.
Because
Isn't that always the way?
Well, it was that firehouse that just did me in, and I knew I needed something to help me with the square corners before I kill something.
Well, Micromark shipping is what killed me on it. It was going to cost me $25 to order the thing, and it was going to cost me $20 or $25 in shipping or something like that.
Well, doesn't your wife have Amazon Prime?
I've got Prime. I love my Prime.
Oh, you got Prime. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Our business has a Prime account. I've had it personally too, but it makes sense for the business. We order everything in the world for. I mean, we have wholesale accounts where we've dealt with companies for 15, 20 years buying electronics products, and I still buy laptops occasionally and a whole lot of stuff off of Prime. It's cheaper than I can buy it from a wholesaler. I can buy Amazon, who's probably buying it from the same wholesalers I am, and they've marked it up 1 penny. And then they ship it to me for free. I've ordered big racks of equipment that comes in on a freight liner. On an 18-wheeler, they back into our office and drop the rack off, and it was free shipping, and they made 1 penny on that rack. Possibly, they probably got it cheaper, but not much. I think they lose on me on their Prime account. I get my value out of it.
Now this guy trolls. He makes everything in paper and foam core. And this big boat, handmade in paper. The tugboat, handmade in paper. with foam core as well.
Where would you get a template? What would he use to? Is he doing that entirely by eye, or do you think he's getting somebody's schematic?
He has photographs because he spent a couple of summers in France and Belgium on the water, and he used to have a sailboat.
Yeah.
And it was going through one of the locks that made him go back to the land and stay there because he almost got crushed by one of those things when he was in his sailboat. So he's got photographs of him to work from. And with somebody, I mean, just take a look at the detail work that he's put into that, and that's paper, like I said.
Oh yeah. Okay. There's no limitation to working with paper. Next I can tell from looking at his layout, about the only thing he's bought or his whole layout is the rolling stock, locomotives, and track. Everything else looks like everything else he makes is entirely from scratch.
Yep, exactly.
Seems like he would have, if he would have headlined his track.
That wharf's from one side to the end of the wharf is 8 feet long.
I mean, think about it. If you know, the detail when you're looking at a scene and you see Atlas track go through it like that, that's the only thing that just throws me off. It's like George Celios' layout. That's the only thing that throws me off on it. And he used, Walther's Code 83, pretty good looking, or Shinohara Code 83 track. But still, when you look at it, you can see all the round shoulders and all that other stuff. If you're going to do that quality of work, get thinking what the... Oh, that's cool.
That's the base for his wharf.
And he did anybody should check out his YouTube video channel too. He's done some instruction videos on how to use the artist gel medium to create the wave effect.
Yep. He also sells a DVD on his painting methods and different things like that.
You have that DVD?
I do. He was going to come to I think it was 2012 to the Fine Scale Expo.
Yeah.
And he got sick, so he couldn't come. So I said to him, well, send me the DVDs, I'll sell them for you. He says, I can't. If he had sent the DVDs over long before his arrival and sent them to the hotel, he would have been able to do it. But to bring them with him, they wouldn't have let him bring them in across the border for some reason.
What? Of your own video production?
Yep. Because they were meant for sale.
Yeah, I'll never understand such things, but okay.
Well, hey, he can I. Where the hell's that DVD?
Yeah, I'd really.
Right there.
I need that.
Me in the face.
Can you order it? Does he have a site? He does have a site. I know he does.
Yep.
Can you order it off?
Realistic Color is the name of the disc. Realistic Color.
Yeah. Doesn't he do like a primer on color and how to?
Yep.
I thought there was something in there about that. I've heard that.
And he gives you what the prime colors that he uses, and he mixes everything from 4 different colors.
Yeah, makes all of his own paints. All of his own.
Yeah.
Pigment.
He uses a lot of acrylic because when you're working with models like this, you can't have it sitting for days waiting for it to dry. So he worked in acrylics.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll shut up now.
What's his website link, Ralph?
Let me find it for you.
If you Google, I think I've just Googled Charles Kirk and got it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, I couldn't Google it because I didn't remember the name.
Oh.
it is Trolls Kirk, and you'll end up coming up with a couple of different sites. You have Trolls Kirk Artist Painter. He's on Facebook. His railroad is called the Coastline Railroad page, also on Facebook. And Trolls Kirk, all one word, on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's also on another site, and I don't know how many people are familiar with the modvid.com model site. It's in Australia, and the guy has a collection of photos of all of the famous model railroaders and anybody that had a name, has a name in the hobby or did. And it's like a tribute to all of them.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff on there. Some of it that's really hard to find.
Trolls Kirk DVD. There we go.
And for those of you who are dysfunctional when it comes to spelling, it is T-R-O-E-L-S, not T-R-O-L-L-S.
Who are you calling dysfunctional?
You?
I'm calling me
Did you spell it O-L-L-S?
No, I spelled it T-R-O-L-L-S.
No, I mean...
Not like Under the Bridge troll. He's a different troll.
Well, at first I thought he said Charles Kirk. He's like, who's named Troll?
No, Charles Kirk's Captain Kirk's dad. It's a different...
Yeah.
Yeah, some Trekkie's going to correct me on that because I'm sure that's not true. But
You know it's not.
no, I know it's not true. But and I know a Trekkie will correct me.
Well, this Trekkie won't because I don't know who James Kirk's father is. So,
Mr. Kirk.
I won't, because I'm not a Trekkie.
Yeah, I'm a Trekkie. I just don't know his name. I don't know. I'm a Trekker. I just kind of like it.
okay, perfect answer. James Kirk's father is Gene Roddenberry.
That is a perfect answer. Very true.
Maybe.
Yeah, 'cause I don't think in any of the shows he ever went back home, but Picard, they actually had a show where he went back home once.
Back to France.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that one.
And that trip home still didn't explain why a Frenchman has a British accent.
How do you argue with Patrick Stewart? It's like 400 years in the future, so.
Hold that tree
So
up
on-
a little bit there, Andy, so we can see
Well,
what
it's
you...
pretty rough right now. I'm doing these in groupings. This is 3 trees grouped together, but I needed to. Part of the problem I have is I can't get trees to mesh like on the prototype. So I make these quite big trees, and then I shove, trucks up through them and plant them. So like the pictures I posted on Facebook a couple days ago, there's like 4 or 5 of these, quite big trees there, but there's like, another 5 or 6 trucks there to try to create that, depth at the bottom. This time, because these are right on the foreground and they're smaller trees, I needed to make them mesh together. So I had to copy the planting formation from the layout onto the start, which is trivially easy, but you just gotta get close. But then I got to move all 3 of them at one time because they're interlaced.
Yeah.
Because that's a hard thing to do once you put actual stuff on the arbiter. It's really hard to interlace them.
How you doing, Ron?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I'm doing good. How are y'all doing?
Well, doing just fine.
Thought I'd pop in for a minute. Hadn't been around in a while. Before y'all forgot who I was.
Who are you again?
So, you been up to anything lately besides running around the country on vacation?
That's pretty much it. I'm trying to convince my family to hit every decent railroad destination in Colorado. That's kind of a tall order, but we tried to make a pretty good stab at it while we were there.
Yeah.
Did you go to the new Caboose Hobbies?
No, we didn't get through Denver. We were in southern and western Colorado. Went to Ridgeway and Ouray and, of course, Durango, and then down through Alamosa and Pagosa Springs, those areas. We weren't up as far north as Denver.
Those magnets are pretty stiff on there, aren't they?
Yes, and they're not making this job easier.
They're not supposed to make it easier.
I might have to mute
Just
my
kidding.
mic as this
Why?
endeavor goes. As this endeavor
Foul
goes
language?
into 17.
You might try putting a piece of electrical tape on the bottom of them too, so they don't grab quite as hard.
I have no idea where I have electrical tape, if I have electrical tape in the house.
Hey, you guys that have those gluing jigs like that, your magnets, did the little metal sides come off of all your magnets like they did mine?
One side is supposed to be detached, the other side is supposed to be attached. It helps.
Right, but the side that's supposed to be attached on mine, all but about 2 of them eventually came off. Now, I still use it. The corners of the magnets are good and square, but sometimes I kind of wish that those sides that were supposed to stay attached had done so. Of course, I've had mine for several years, but
Did you use epoxy glue to glue them, or?
I haven't tried to glue them back on. I probably will.
He's been traveling
Well.
too much.
We'll call him Gulliver, huh?
There you
Ralph.
go.
Ron, I have to give him a hat that says, "Call me Gulliver."
I'll be Gulliver. My wife's an English teacher. She would love that.
Yeah. Let's see. Andy's still here.
Yeah.
Jerry. Jerry said, Andy, thanks to you, I won an argument with my brother over tree highlights.
Tree heights, yeah.
Heights.
Like I said to him, I love a good argument as good as anybody. So anytime I can help somebody else on an argument, that's good stuff. I've argued that with people for a long time, and I argue it not just with trees, but just selective compression in general. I mean,
You argue with trees?
I argue over anything I can argue over. But selective compression, everybody's heard me say it before, we take it way too far. You have to do it, but we don't have to take it so far.
And I got a question here for you, Ron,
Okay.
from Jerry. He wants to know what your next video is. Can he get advance tickets?
We've got a video coming out Tuesday on weathering tank cars. I did one on weathering covered hoppers here several weeks ago, and I showed a picture in that of some tank cars that I had weathered previously, which had nothing to do with what I was talking about at the time. And 3 or 4 people said, "You got to show us how you weather those tank cars." So that'll be coming out Tuesday.
Do you have advance tickets on it?
Can I have box seats?
Yeah. So Johnny, if I want to put a link in the chat on the show chat, it's the periods are replaced by the word dot.
When I pay
and no www.
Well,
no www. I put something space parenthesis dot parenthesis something. that hides it real well.
That's what I'm doing here. This is the link to Trolls Kirk if you want the disc, this DVD.
Good deal.
Yeah, 'cause I was going to ask you after the show, just send me an email with all the links that you got there that you talked about tonight, if you would. And I'll be sure and put them in the...
and for the real link, I put in our chat, if you're interested, Andy.
All over it. I knew it was weird.
Number 13.se/coastline/shop.html.
Yeah, because when I typed in the pier address earlier for Jerry, I just typed it all in and it came out okay. I highlighted YouTube Mall Builders, but the dot and everything was there.
This isn't working very well for me.
But I didn't put the www in though.
I am a hillbilly though, so granted I can only do...
well, I'm not a hillbilly and it's not working for me neither, so...
I'm having trouble with...
I'm a city boy and I didn't get it either.
Well,
all right.
I don't speak this, so...
I got nothing found.
All right.
I got that too.
Forget that then.
Okay, it is forgotten.
He does have a Facebook page.
False alarm. False alarm. Call back all trucks.
Hey, well, I can't delete it from the chat, so...
Don't worry.
Well, have you got any future plans for this winter working on the layout, Ron, or just gotta go at it as you see it or feel?
That's a good question. I got lots of things that need to happen. Exactly what order they're going to happen in kind of remains to be seen. Trying to video everything that I do here these last few months has kept me working a little more consistently, if not faster, at any one given time. So it's trying to help me kind of plan things out, but I'm trying to get a lot of scenery work done. I need to do my favorite job. I need to do a lot of ballasting, and I got a lot of it to do, and I'd rather take a beating than do it, but you know, it's got to be done. So probably going to be spending a lot of time. Say that again.
It seems to be a lot of people's favorite thing to do is ballasting. You know, the sarcasm is thick with that, but I hated it too. But I found a technique using dry polymer adhesive. So I just brushed it off, spray it with 50-50 water alcohol, and it just sets up. Yeah. I don't mind it nearly as bad as I did previously.
The hard part, of course, in N-scale, you know, that fine ballast, it just, the static electricity, it's hard to keep it where you want it. Even, you know, but it's not just a matter of putting the adhesive on, it's keeping you where you want it. If you're trying to brush it in one place, by the time you think you got it, you move a brush, and static electricity drags 5 grains up into the webs of your rail.
Ron, I'll tell you what you do, and I won't tell you how I know this.
Okay.
Take a dryer sheet.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
Didn't work?
On your brush?
No, put in a jar of ballast to keep static out of there.
Oh, put it in the jar. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I use one, and whenever I'm using my brush to spread that ballast, I'll rub it on the brush about every 2 or 3 strokes, and that does help. It's not perfect. The worst part is I got to find the right dryer sheets, because most of them I'm allergic to the perfumes in them. So, you know, I'm crying while I'm doing ballast, partly because I'm doing ballast and partly because I'm allergic to the dryer sheets.
Oh, that's good stuff. Are you using like Woodland Scenics ballast, or?
That's what I've used in the past, is Woodland Scenics. See,
if I was doing in-scale, I would just use grout, straight grout. It lays down heavier. It's got an actual body gauge. You can put. It's got that polymer adhesive.
Right.
You can put grout down, spray it with water, and it's about the same consistency, and you can manipulate the color.
That's true. I might give that I might practice with that a little bit to see what I.
But you're talking grout without sand, right, Andy?
Unsanded.
Yeah, I use unsanded grout for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I don't buy any of the sanded grout.
Yeah,
Actually, I'll tell you what. If I was doing tile, at this point, with my experience with grout on cedar, because a lot of the British modelers use grout I mix it with dirt now because I see Luke Towan do that, and I use grout and I use dirt. It made sense to stick them together and see what happened. So I use it for all kinds of things, and a lot of the British, European modelers do that as well. If I was going to grout tile, I would buy the same standard unsanded grout, and I would mix some regular silica sand in with it. I would do it myself now anyway.
All right, well, there's a break. David put in here, my selective compression is 15 miles of track that runs by my house. 3 towns, point to point, yard on one end.
In how big of an area, David? Because the question about compression is, how much people try to fit in. So people try to model the entire, St. Louis to Chicago run of the C&W or something, and they try to do that on a, on an L-shaped layout in a corner of a room or something. Whatever. The selective compression is too much. So my layout with around 330 or 40 feet of mainline track, once I get that far built, models about 18 miles to a couple towns, and there's a lot of distance between them, and I mess with that distance by doing helixes to stretch that distance. My current layout, which is the current level, which is 60 or 70 feet of track right now, is just one town per level.
Yeah, David says a 12 by 30 room.
See, that's awesome. That's entirely reasonable selective compression to do 15 miles in a good sized road like that. You can give it the real attention it deserves. You can have a little bit of space between towns or industries, like what should happen on the real thing. I think a smaller target ends up with better layouts. What you're trying to model, if your target for what you're trying to model is a much smaller, more focused, more refined target, as opposed to something big, those layouts are the ones I find the most interest. Like Trailmaster TV's done some videos on this guy who modeled Woodstock, New York recently. Also, ESU's channel on YouTube does a really good tutorial on the ESU full throttle effects, and they used his layout as the showcase for that 30-minute video or so. That layout is a single town in a pretty good sized basement, and it's one town. So it feels reasonable. There's space.
Yeah, MRL Trains just popped in, said hello, friends. How you doing, Chris? Well, anybody else got anything they want to run by, run over, run through?
Run up the flagpole, see if anyone salutes.
Should have recorded last night's discussion.
Which one? Because I don't think there's a couple conversations that were.
Take your pick. They were all kind of hot and heavy.
There are some nights that that we really get into some pretty good stuff.
It's all Andy Crawford's fault.
It is. I blame it totally on him.
Andy,
he sucked me right in.
Like I've always said, the best discussion you get is when two people, respectful and who respect each other, value their own opinion, and those are two different opinions. That's great, because you get two people who aren't fighting for the sake of winning. Those are useless, but care a lot about putting their best argument forward. So anybody listening gets to hear the two best arguments for those two solutions, and then they get to figure out whatever choice they want to make.
You mean like ours last night?
That's exactly, that was a good example.
And then then when I started to show him the pictures of the way I did my scenery, he's going, styrofoam. Stick the knife in again. Stick it in. Twist it.
Yeah.
Andy, take a look at the link on the Appearin chat. Is that the grout you were talking about?
I'm looking down. Yeah, it'll work. Work just fine. Bright white. Well, they have different colors there. So I use an off-white. The bleach white is a little. Not to mention, this stuff's colorable. You know, it takes paint, and because the dry powder adhesive is essentially a latex compound, so so it's slightly rubbery, ever so slightly rubbery when you put it down. It can handle a little expansion contraction between tiles without cracking, which I also like better than the rigidness that you get with a white glue or Mod Podge or matte medium when you put down ballast, because it doesn't take a lot of expansion contraction to get cracks in your ballast with the traditional methods, whereas using grout with that latex polymer, just spraying it with wood, it settles down real well. Doesn't have as much static electricity problems like Rob was saying, and we've all fought with. And it doesn't tend to crust or just the surface glue as long as you soak the water in good. And then and expansion contraction doesn't crack it, or not easily.
Okay. So I just need to match it up to the kind of ballast I want to model and see what color works best.
And for each scale, I would just use the straight grout. For HO scale or others, I use decomposed granite. You buy a 40-pound sack or 25-pound sack or something for $5, called leveling sand, made to put under pavers, rough gravel material from from Lowe's or something in the lawn care section, and then sift it out, screen it out into the particulate size. But the grout, for whatever reason, sticks to those stones and colors them. The unsanded grout does. So I took that much darker medium gray that would happen with that leveling sand and used white, slightly off white, and I got a medium gray, which is the color, a light gray, which is the color I needed for my ballast. This ain't my idea. I mean, this, I'm pretty sure I see Mike Confalone is who I seen do it first, and I've taken parts of that and expanded it for doing my gravel roads, and they're sandable too. So I'll put the grout down with a little bit of the smallest particulate of the decomposed granite, and then I'll take a styrofoam sanding block and sand the tracks in the road, or sand the road down to make it look well traveled. So, and then take chalks and aim powders and weather them as well. So
you can use tempera powders to color it.
I bought some of that. I bought some black tempera. I want to try on the rock work. I need to buy a few more colors and give that a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way that tempera works when you sprinkle it out on rocks and then hit it with water and let it run. Will it run where it will? Makes it look a lot more natural.
Yep.
That's what I bought it to try. I just haven't tried it. I bought a jug of it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I guess what we'll do, we're done hit the witching hour. And we'll have to get Ron back in here a little earlier on a future show.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, well, when you get time in between rest stops there or something,
Let me tell you, 2 of my 3 kids and my wife are all going back to school next week, so I may have a lot of time coming up this fall, or I may have less time. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I have the house to myself a lot, I think.
You say that, and we're going to hold you to it with your YouTube videos. So you say you got free time.
We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's see. I want to say thank you to everybody over here in the chat for coming in tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. I mean, we've had some good topics here. Got caught up on AJ's buildings. Got to look at Andy's tree work again. Ralph has shown off some good products that could be used rather inexpensively. So got a bit of an update from Chris on his. That's going to be interesting to see when he starts building that bad boy. Yeah. Ooh, I almost made that slip. 3-rail. Oh, scale. Almost said 2-rail, Ralph.
We've got that. That's been such a running joke in the Hangouts. That
I know, that's the reason why it almost slipped, and I was trying not to let it.
I feel like I'm a bad dream.
Nothing to be said for consistency, brother.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's do a little transitioning here. Let's see if I can get it right this time, since I messed it up at the beginning of the show. Alright, you want to go to YouTubeMileBuilders.com. There you can check the schedules for the shows. Tuesday and Wednesday night shows are at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The Thursday show that's every week, and the Saturday once a month show with Big Bill and Barry. Those two shows are at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. So want to be sure and tune in and check those schedules and see what we got going on. I know the Thursday doesn't show up because it is every week, but I guess I need to put that up there for a little bit of a reminder to people. And also be sure and click on the eMag button and sign up for an email notification. And I'll tell you what, with that said, I want to say thank you to everybody for coming in over on the chat tonight, for everybody watching. And also want to say thank you to everybody here on the panel. Ralph, Ron, Chris, Andy, AJ. Appreciate y'all coming in. So everyone have a good night. Oh, let's see what next show is going to be. Well, I'll tell you what, the only show I got next week is going to be a Thursday show. And August the 19th is when we're going to have the live show with Big Bill and Barry. So that's going to be interesting. So we're going to have a little bit of a light week next week. Alright, everyone have a good night, a good weekend, and we shall see you next Thursday night. Bye.
Night, John.